You're doing your thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm just focusing on improving and bettering myself. You just got to like fully, embrace what you're doing right now. Because you even a year ago wanted to be in this position.
Yeah.
No matter how you think about it, you're still moving forwards.
Welcome back to Givin Flowers. Today's episode, Nashville's very own Shelldhn.
Thank you for being here.
Anytime.
Thank you for meeting me here. Thank you for being down to do this at pretty short notice.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, hey, let's do it.
Sorry. But I appreciate you wholeheartedly.
No problem.
So, like I said, this is really just going to be a conversation.
Yeah.
I really just want to know you as who you are.
Yeah.
I want to know the experiences you had,
Say less.
why you make music,
Yeah.
and we'll just start there.
Okay.
When did you start making music?
I officially started making music last year. Yeah, I have.
Last year?
Yeah, I was doing doing the calendar. Yeah, last year because I wrote my first song a year and a half ago. So
That's insane.
yeah,
I feel like, so I didn't know who you were until last year.
yeah.
And that's when you started, which is insane to me. So that's when you started writing your own music, but you were already performing and stuff? No?
No.
You started last year?
Yeah, performing all my stuff last year. Yeah.
What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
you have been on an insane run. Like,
Thank you. I
that's
appreciate it.
insane.
Yeah, we've done a lot in the past 365.
I love that for you. Have you had any struggles from then to now?
No, it's been pretty smooth.
Wow.
I really wish I could be like, oh, it's been such a
Yeah.
hard time. No,
Yeah.
it's been great.
So
It's been really good.
what got you into singing in the first place?
My mom sang, she teaches choirs and stuff like that. So it's always been around. My dad's a theater professor. So
Oh, wow.
music and theater, the arts have been around my whole life. I just didn't really get into it until post-college,
Wow. So were you a choir kid, like a church choir kid?
Not really. I mean, we kind of just sang in the kids choir, but I wasn't really like dying to be like, oh, let me just go up and sing, I didn't really get that type of interest until maybe I would say like junior year of high school.
That's honestly insane to me because it seems like, I mean, everybody's story is different,
Yeah.
but how you present yourself, the confidence that you have, that I see in you,
Thank you.
and like just the amount of shows that you do, I would have thought you've been doing this for 5, 6, 7 years. So literally when I found you, when I saw your Instagram and all that is because you started,
Yeah.
and which
because
it's a testament to just starting.
yeah, just do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What led you to start?
It was 2021. We were knee deep in the pandemic. College was over, and I was like, okay, do I want to either go to med school or do I
Sheesh.
want to go to do music? So yeah, I did fairly well on my MCAT. Did fairly well in school, but I was like, this just isn't for me, and so just took another path, and here we are at music. Wrote my first song in December of 2021, and stepped up to the mic to record it in March of 22.
So when you're making music, what goes into the process of it?
There are a lot of processes that I think of, but mostly it's just melodies. Like when composing a beat or even just writing something, it's never usually words for me. I'm always like a melody-driven person first. So I'll usually hum something or think of something in my head or how the chords may feel or how it, just overall sets the mood is how I'll usually write it after I like hum something out, and then it just kind of builds from there.
So you build beats around, or not beats, but so you come up with the harmony. Does somebody make that for you, or do you play on piano? Like,
It's
how's that
I can
happen?
do a couple chords myself, but usually it's like the process, at least for me, it's like beat, melody, words, then formulating lyrics, picking out words like, oh, this makes me feel happy, sad, lonely, scared, blue, green, like whatever you want to feel, that's usually where I pull from first.
So you're a very feeling-based person.
Yeah, at least for music. I don't think I'm the most feeling-based person in like
Well,
personally.
yeah, when it comes to
but-
creating,
Yeah,
you
when it
are.
comes to creating, I very much am.
Because I definitely say that about me. Like, I'm not really a technical cinematographer, videographer, or camera person. I have no idea really about the technical. I've just been doing it so long. I go based off of feeling.
Yeah.
Like if I hear the song, I know in my head, like this is what that feels like. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I have no idea like all that technical shit that people be raving about.
Say
You know what I
less.
mean?
Yeah. I totally understand on some fronts. Yeah.
Yeah. So what inspires that? Like the feeling based creating?
I think just life.
Just life.
Just how you're feeling in the moment, or what you've been going through, or how someone else's story may impact your writing, or if you're writing it based off, a friend or a family member. It just depends on the topic at hand, or what you're pulling from specifically. Yeah.
So when you're writing and you do have that feeling, what is it about it? Like, is it just that you feel like you need to write something, or is it you're setting yourself in this mood to write something? You know what I mean?
It's kind of innate. It's kind of like, okay, I didn't know this was where I was going, but this is where it's taking me, so I'm gonna just follow into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, like, I don't mean this by any mean, shape, or fashion, but, like, I've been in studio sessions where, of course, this is more like towards rap, but it's like, yeah, that's a cool beat. And then the writing in it is, and then they kind of form it that way.
Yeah.
And it's not really, I guess that is feeling based, but it seems a lot more engineered to me because it's like, you kind of know that you're going to do a triplet. So what words are going to go with this? Even if it's like subconscious, it's like, that's a technical way to go about it. And with R&B, I honestly thought it would be the same way because it's almost like rhyme patterns and schemes and stuff like that. So I thought it would be like, let's plan it out all the way through, then put the words in. It's like it's
probably different for everybody, but at least for me, that's not how I operate.
It just feels like that's like the prime time to do it. You know what I mean?
I feel it.
Like if you're gonna write something, like that's how you would go about it. But like I said, yeah, everybody's different. Yeah. What does it look like a year from now for you in art and singing? Because you've gotten so far within a year, which is still insane to me.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great. Like, and you didn't start off with like a cover singer or anything like that?
Didn't start off doing any covers. Didn't even. I just now starting into like TikTok, so like getting into more social awareness. Okay, I need to start making content for people to see instead of just hearing, because it's like it goes hand in hand. But no, not really. I never really had a drive to do it until last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Before this, it literally was the question between medical school or singing.
Yeah.
And that was just like, singing.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I was like, I got a knack for this, but also I love it so much. And I really kind of thank the pandemic because it was an opportune time for me to just make a huge pivotal shift.
Truly.
So, that's kind of where my head and my heart and my mind was leading me to. And it's been smooth sailing ever since. Yeah.
And do you sing full time? I don't have to put this in if you don't want.
Oh no! I do got my day job, and then I do, but it's funding my music career. So
that's how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You do one thing to help the other, but I know eventually I don't see myself doing that in 3 years.
Oh, for sure.
So for now, it makes sense, but eventually my schedule's going to get so busy where I won't have to have the other job.
Because I could imagine like the amount of, that I see, I'm not really sure, but the amount of work that you put into this music side, it seems like it's a shit ton of work compared to a full-time job is a lot. I had one at one time, 9 to 5, or no, it was 9 to 6. And then the only time I really had was 8 to, midnight, whatever it is. And like with singing, I feel like it's so much more because you have like rehearsals, you're doing concerts maybe during the week or whatever the case may be. It's like a lot of upfront work. How do you handle that?
It's a lot, but I think I've been able to manage it pretty well.
Yeah.
So, say I have a show in a month, right?
Yeah.
So I would have to prepare at least 2 to 3 rehearsals with my band. Got to make sure that we get the set list together. After you do the set list together, make sure the transitions are right from each song. After you do that, you got to do you got to make sure everything is together.
Right.
Making sure everybody is good for the show. And I think after that, you pretty much just perform. But it does take a lot because also I perform with the band most times. I think some people usually either do tracks or just with
even more work.
It's even more work. So you got to make sure everybody's on the same page. But I love it though. I really wish I could say it's such a daunting task. It's really not, especially when you love it.
Of course. Where do you see yourself with music? Like,
man,
not even the top goal, but like maybe 3 or 5 years from now.
Yeah, 3 to 5 years, just a consistent job working in music, whether that's doing background vocals for somebody, whether that's doing, writing or producing or arranging for some other people. I have no problem doing that because I'm not the type of person to feel like people owe me anything. I have no problem working for what I need and for, getting my foot in the door. And I just feel like it's one of those things where all I need is just the right eyes, and then everything else will be fine. Because I feel like the music is good, my work ethic speaks for itself. So it's just gotta put all the pieces together.
You don't have any want or goal to be signed or becoming a...
Not at the moment. It has to be right. I'm always like, okay, like, God, if it's leading me there, then I'll do it. But if I don't see a need for it, I'll probably just keep my independence as much as I can.
So really, you would rather just basically have a job and have a living off of just what you love to do, which is everything music.
Yeah, everything music. It doesn't necessarily have to be signed to a deal. I'm fine with just touring, singing behind somebody else. Like I'm honestly content with that. Of course, I want to continue to push my own artistry, and I'm working on like an actual full-length album, not an EP.
Sick.
So like that's gonna be really fun. But I think just a steady living wage off of music is the biggest thing for me right now.
You've been doing it for a year now.
Yeah.
And the conversation I had before this was self-sabotage and like imposter syndrome. Do you ever get that?
Not often.
That is so...
I don't really get that often because I feel like what I do...
Good.
Yeah. Good. I do what I do. And I feel like comparison kills. That's what I've learned. Like trying to think that what somebody else is doing or someone else's track record or they're getting somewhere faster when your content or material is better. Okay, so what?
Yeah.
Just do what you do best and the rest is gonna come. Like
you are very grounded, sir.
I just think that a lot of times people try to keep up with the Joneses and try to like put on what they think people want to hear, what they want to look like, or how they even feel like they should film or sing or rap. It's so convoluted. And once you just focus on yourself and your own material, your own art, and what you feel is going to be the best representation of yourself, then I promise you the rest is going to be easy. It's not as deep as people make it out to be.
Yeah. You are way ahead of, most artists out there. Like I would say it took me 5 or 6 years creating in order to figure that out. And it's just not till probably this year where I am comfortable enough to be like, oh, this shit doesn't really, it doesn't matter that much. This is nothing, and comparing yourself, it really does kill. You will go to dark places when you do that. And like I said, I've been there for months, years at a time. And honestly, it's not a place that's nice to go. I feel like it is, I feel like everybody probably should experience it if they don't.
Oh, yeah, we've all had them. I'm not saying I haven't had it, but it's one of those things where, okay, you can't dwell in it. You can't sit in that space for too long because it's going to be detrimental not just to yourself, but to the material that you make.
And it takes a level of self-awareness to do that, which you obviously have. And I'm glad that you started this career. You had self-awareness and then started this career. Because if you didn't, that's where let me talk for myself. That's where I started. Like, I had no self-awareness. So it was like, I'm going to become the biggest fucking director there ever was. And I had the utmost grind.
Yeah.
Every single second it consumed my life.
Yeah.
And, I'm getting that grind back, but it's in such a much healthier place. My wife is helping me get through a lot of things, and I've gotten to a point to where it's like, I'd be okay not being a fucking huge director. I'd be okay if I don't make $1 million.
Yeah.
I'll be okay if it's 50,000, but I'm doing what I love.
Right.
I mean, it's a thing to where it's like our egos get in the way of like the passions or the talent that we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
You very self-aware.
I appreciate it. You just got to like fully, embrace what you're doing right now, because you even a year ago wanted to be in this position.
Yeah.
No matter how you think about it, you're still moving forward. So as long as you keep progressing, whether it be one step or even half a step, at least you're doing something.
Right.
So my only comparison is to myself. How can I outdo myself? How can I outsing myself? How can I outact myself? How can I outdance myself? Like, I'm not really, when I see people who do excellent things, it's like, oh, you're motivating me to go harder. It's not like, oh, I want to be like you. Oh, I want to do that type of excellence in myself.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Wow. I'm not trying to be Usher. I'm not trying to be PJ Morton, Michael Jackson. I'm trying to be Shelldhn. And whatever that looks like, I fully embrace that and welcome that.
Has Nashville been a, I guess, comforting place for R&B music? And have you found that your community in Nashville that fully backs you?
I have my community. You know, I have my friends. I have my supporters. But I do think that Nashville is not fully prepared to take on indie R&B artists, specifically brown indie R&B artists, because I've seen a lot of people who make R&B, but who don't necessarily look like me, who've had a little bit easier opportunities in Nashville. Sure. I'm not saying anywhere else, but in Nashville,
for sure.
Yeah, it's just,
I can back you on
easier.
that.
It's just easier. And if I'm not, I'm not a rapper, so it's another strikeout. You know, so it's just like, and also I don't do country, but the great thing about it in Nashville is like the Black country scene is really thriving here. Like you can make a for yourself if you're a Black country artist. Seeing people like Willie Jones, one the duo, Breland, Rashad, like so many others who are really making a name for themselves here in country. So I love that. But on the flip side, I'm not a country artist.
Right.
So
That's what I was about to say, but
the music I make is not that. So it's interesting trying to find a niche here. I don't know where I see myself for how long I'm staying here. But for now, I'm just gonna do what it does.
What does that look like? Where else would you see that at?
Honestly, I feel like I just need more of a challenge. I just need like more people who are doing it actively more. So like either in New York or in LA or in Atlanta, even like down the street.
Yeah.
I just need to be in an environment that's more conducive to that. And one of those three cities is definitely where I'm trying to be. Yeah,
that's really important, to find people that not only believe in you, but is also doing bigger things than you, and also is doing, the same thing that you are doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also
like Black R&B.
Yeah,
like you want to find a place that
I really do want to find people who solely like really appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's not R&B is not really fully appreciated here. It's just not.
Yeah.
And we work so hard, and I see so many people who just put so much into it. Just specifically the Black creatives here, and it's just like, man, I know that their time is coming. It's just going to take a minute, and it might not be here. And personally speaking, I don't know if I want to be like the person that, break down the walls to do that. I would rather have,
I feel,
I would, but I am specific about like building a team, like, and like finding your own creative hub of people who you can trust, and you help them, they help you. We work together and build each other up. That is a big thing that I'm glad that I have found here in Tennessee.
Yeah, Atlanta, like you mentioned Atlanta, but Atlanta really does have a beautiful scene of, especially Black. I mean, of course, Atlanta's like the Mecca.
No, literally.
but Atlanta has a really beautiful community of creatives, and like not even creatives, musicians.
Oh yeah,
like their music scene is so diverse there. Like you can go. They have one something that Nashville lost is the independent venues, small venues that showcase these smaller artists that, have a lot of talent, but, they need a stage, Nashville has lost a lot of that. In Atlanta, there is still a lot of those small little venues that still will have, somebody who doesn't have a million, whatever.
Yeah.
And actually has a community of people like the Basement, has a community of people that will go to it just because it's like, that's where I find my artist, you know what I mean? And that's what's beautiful about Atlanta. And it's like for each thing, like you can find everything in Atlanta. I
No,
promise you.
absolutely, yeah.
And it's a yeah. It's not for everybody, but Atlanta's beautiful.
I hope one day, that Nashville will get back to, really fully embracing,
roots.
non-country alternative folk artist fully. But even the name Music City was from the Fifth Jubilee Singers.
Exactly.
Nashville is so rooted in Black culture, but it just seems like it's just not fully appreciated.
You're from Nashville, right?
Yeah, born and
So
raised.
I tried to stress this so much to people that aren't from here, but like moved here. I was like, Nashville hasn't always been like this
hasn't.
white
It
or this
hasn't.
country or this whatever. Like
Yeah.
I remember going downtown. I mean, it's not that long ago in my teens, in like 2010. You can go to Second Avenue and see they were playing EDM. There was
Yeah.
hip hop. There was everything. There was R&B singers on the street just singing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like they had all of that.
And it's still a gospel mecca. It's just not
In
really
that, yeah.
highlighted. Like Dr. Bobby Jones gospel. Like there's the Stellar Awards. Like there's so many things that happen here
Yeah.
that are non-country things that I just doesn't get the full respect that
That
it
it
does.
deserves.
My city's not just cowboy hats. I've been blessed enough to perform at a lot of the independent venues out here. So, the
I've
East
seen
Room, the Basement, Analog, Soho, so many more. I've been very, very blessed within this time span.
For people who are looking specifically in Nashville, I guess, because that's where you are. For people looking to get booked in those local venues, what advice do you give them? You've been doing it for a year, so you obviously have the sauce.
Oh man,
Give us the sauce.
I think the best way is just put yourself out there. All the places that I've been booked for, people just asked, and getting your name out there, networking, going to these events where you don't necessarily think your name is going to be. Just put your face out
So
there.
what type of events?
Really, just go to shows. Like I have a lot of friends who do a lot of music, so I just come out to support them, and then they're like, "Hey, my other friend does music too." So like it's like an exchange of
Right.
information, just networking.
What other advice would you give somebody who's Black, R&B, in a small town? They might
Yeah.
not have a community of that.
I would first say know who you are, know what your city can bring, know what it can't bring, and assess yourself accordingly. So like, okay, well, this scene doesn't really have that. Well, either you can be that face for the scene and, press your way, or you can find another place that is well suited for that.
Right.
And so I'm at a crossroads right now where I'm like, okay, do I want to continue to build here, or do I want to just embark on a new place and try my luck somewhere else?
Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like somebody who feels that way, where it's like, I need to grow. I need a place that kind of helps me as much as I help it, help the city. How do you feel about being that face? How do you feel about rising? I know you say you don't necessarily want to be that, and I don't want to be that for Nashville either, because I had the same thought. But what do you say to that?
It's kind of like a double-edged sword. I mean, it's not necessarily something that I want to do, but if it happens, if it's like, oh my God, then it happens.
So be it.
But again, I'm just kind of just following wherever I'm supposed to go. So if that's what I'm supposed to be doing, no one's told me that yet.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard or prayed about that, but you never know.
So there's not necessarily like a big shiny object. There's just a journey, I guess.
It's really just a journey. Like if along the journey we collect a Grammy, if along the journey we collect an Oscar or a Tony or an Emmy, that'd be great. Like, I mean, my goal is to be proficient in all forms of art. So, getting better at acting, getting better at being an on-stage actor, because I've done stuff at the Tennessee Performing Arts Center.
I was getting there.
Yeah. So just so many different things that I want to get better at. So I guess if there was like a shiny object, in EGOT would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay. Talk about goals. That's a big one.
I feel like that'd be really, really dope.
Love that.
Yeah.
Last time I talked to you, I can't remember the show you were creating, but you were acting. It was a theater performance. What was that?
That would have had to have been for...
I've heard of it before, but I can't remember what it was.
Either was that last year? So that either had to be either Ragtime or Elf the Musical. I don't remember which one.
I think it might have been Elf.
It probably was Elf. It probably
I think
was
it might have
Elf.
been Elf.
Yeah.
What led you to that?
I didn't really, it's another thing like music. I didn't really get into theater until like 2 years. So
Sheesh, yeah.
I've only been doing that for a limited amount of time as well, professionally.
Yeah.
I just kind of did it. Auditioned, I got booked. Auditioned again, got booked.
Did your parents must have like garnished, like really pushed you to express your most creative self? Is that what that is? Is that like you believe that
they just said if you anything you put your mind to, you can do it. They really believe that, faith without works is dead. So just believe it, put in the time as well, because you can want something all day long, but if you're not putting in your hours, you're not learning more about something that you care about, then it's all for naught. They pretty much just encouraged me to continue whatever I wanted to do. They never forced my hand really for anything. I just never really had a real passion for it until adulthood.
Recently,
Until recently.
So in your childhood, you had no creative pursuits, or you weren't good at a particular thing? I'm sure you realized you could sing, but other than that.
I played saxophone in band and also in marching band, but also it wasn't a thing that I was like, oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It was like just something like I thought music was just going to be a hobby, not my career.
Right.
But it really, I think it really changed once the world shut down, and I was like, I really don't know what I want to do after school.
Was that because you had the thought of death in COVID? Like, was that?
I mean, maybe
was it an existential thing?
It really was like I want my life to have more meaning per se. So I want something that will outlive me.
Right.
And that was a big thing about it, because once I'm gone, I'll still have at least something for people to know that I was here, aside from a job resume.
I think that was a big thing for a lot of people, because I can speak to myself. I had a job at an advertising company in 2020, and then that was the first time I had a full-time job. My now wife was living with me, and all before that moment happened, like 2020, we really only saw each other for about 3 or 4 hours of the day. You know what I mean? And half of that, not even half of that. That's literally 4 hours of the day.
Yeah.
And we spend that eating and watching TV or something. But other than that, I never really saw her. Once 2020 hit and we were forced to be home together, we were like, oh, this is nice. We get to spend time with each other. And like that became a thing where I was like, oh, there's more to life. There's really much more to life. And then I was like, she felt like she needed to quit her job to pursue something more what she wanted to do, which was makeup. And I was like, do it. And then I did the same thing later on that year, which was, now looking back, was really stupid, because then we didn't have stability. But anyways, we made it through it. I quit my job and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go full time with video and whatever. And it's really all just came down because of the pandemic. We were like, there is more to life than being away from what we love for 8 hours of the day. And most of the time I was gone because film production, I was gone for 12 hours, 13, 14 hours at work, not getting paid. No shade to not getting paid. But yeah, it's like so much more. And I feel like the pandemic shined that light on a lot of people. That's when a lot of people got started and really got serious.
I agree wholeheartedly that it was like a shift that happened for a lot of people. Either for good or for bad, but something did happen, and I'm glad that there was like an onslaught of just people creating. So many people's careers got started off of 2020. So like it's really amazing to see.
And you were what, 21, 20?
Yeah.
God, that had to be scary for you. I always felt bad for people who were like either first graduating or they're in college or they're just graduating high school, like that area right there. Because that's such a, I mean, at least for me and for people I know, like that's like a crucial time of this is where life gets started.
Yeah. It's crazy to think, but a lot of people, I mean, even people older and even younger, I feel like everybody had a moment of like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm a little confused, but I'm gonna just keep going. And so, I'm glad I found music at that time. Yeah.
So what was it with music? Like, were you sitting in front of a computer, or you saw other people creating? Like, what was
Yeah.
that light switch moment?
I think I was just like, why not?
Mm-hmm.
It really was just like, let me just try this and let me see what happens. And it really just paid off because I was like, there's no way to fail really at this because you're starting from scratch. And even if you quote unquote think you're failing, you're really not because you're still doing it.
Right.
You're still actively in it. Yeah, that was a big thing for me, just making sure that I was very specific about it too. So I feel like I'm very like calculated in how I put things out because all the music that I make, I want to make sure that I can still perform when I'm 40. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All
like,
right.
I just don't, because certain music I feel like has an expiration date, depending on, because I don't, like, this is literally no shade, but like, I don't think anybody wants to see like, do people really want to see WAP when they perform it at like 50 years old?
True.
I feel like it's such like
True.
a specific thing, like how you make music. I'm not saying, hey, if they do it, I love that. But I just think that for me, specifically for R&B. And
I think that's for a lot of people too, though.
yeah, I just feel like I want to build something that, again, outlives me. Like something that I
Timeless.
something that I will feel proud of when I'm 70, 80, when I'm gone.
Yeah. That's honestly, like, I had that same thing earlier in my career. Like, I remember I was doing a lot of rap and hip hop videos in Atlanta. So with cheap music videos comes a lot of drugs, alcohol, sex related things. A lot of it's very derogatory, and I kind of made a decision early on, like, I don't want that because, one, that's not what I'm aiming for. Like you, I want to make something that outlives me. Like I want to show my kids and be proud, and not at 50 like, yeah, that's Xanax. He was on a perk. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to disclose. I want to be like, I created this. Even like, it might not go up to my standard when I'm 50, but it's still like something I'm proud of because it was part of the journey. Yeah. I don't want drugs to be part of my journey.
Absolutely not. Like, that's
because it's just promoting it at that point.
Yeah, that's just not something that I'm ever gonna put in my music or just how I want to present myself. But
do you think it's important for other people to think like that?
No.
No.
I think everybody has their own prerogative. Just because I choose not to do something doesn't mean that you doing something makes me think any less of that person per se. That's just the culture of how they make their music. I mean, it's just in the culture of specifically hip hop. So no, I don't really necessarily care because I don't really,
like, you're in your own lane.
I'm in my own lane. I don't even care who's really like right next to me. Like, it's really like, you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. I'm just focusing on improving and bettering myself.
Yeah.
However that looks like.
So a lot of people, I would say, or what it seems like, I can't really speak for everybody, but it seems like, for example, Joe Budden. You know who Joe Budden is? Joe Budden. He was an artist or whatever, had his fame in the early 2000s, whatever the hell. He's very critical of new artists because he feels like there's no substance, there's no XYZ. There's back in his time, which now is decades ago, music was one thing, and he sees that it has lost its thing. With you, not really, with staying in your own lane, do you see it the same way, or do you care, or like, do you think it's all the evolution of itself? How do you?
I think when people say like, even phrases like R&B is dead or like hip hop has changed so much, it really hasn't, because if you think about the topics at hand, it's still the same topics. People still talk about struggle. People still talk about love. People still talk about loss. People still talk about joy and all the emotions in between. So just how it's presented may be different because it's a different time. But people were still making some pretty wild and out music, even back in the 60s and even earlier than that, in like the 20s. Like, if you go, like, people need to do their like research. There were some juke joint artists who said some pretty crazy stuff. Like, it's generational. So, but yeah, R&B is very much still alive. New artists are making us a lot of good things, and you just need to take time to listen.
Right.
That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, and that's interesting to me because I mean, I guess that's true about everything.
Yeah.
You know, at one point, like for video, for example, a lot of people say, "Oh, movies have become sexualized.
Yeah.
Oh, TV shows." When you go back in any shape or form, it's not really that art is becoming sexualized. The perception of art is becoming sexualized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the painter might have one intention, like nude figure drawing. At one time, that was literally just for painting the figure and learning the shapes of the body
Yeah,
and learning anatomy.
Yeah.
You know, the person viewing that saying, "Oh, where did art go? It's sexualized because it's nude." That's their perception of it because that's they're the ones sexualizing it. It's not that the painting itself is sexual.
It's just bodies.
Yeah.
It's just flesh.
Yeah.
It's not. I feel like a lot of people make it so so much bigger than what it actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a time and place for everything, but also like let people be, let people live, let people express how they feel. If it's not harming anybody, if it's not to the detriment of your own self, just, you know, mind your own business. There's so many there's so many other things people could be worried about. Like, we have other pressing things to focus about other than oh, I don't like how somebody's presented in the media.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
As much of a creative or artist as I see myself, I also have to be a business person.
Yeah.
I also have to run a business. I also have to make money. I also have to, there's a lot of things that I have to do. You as an artist, do you see it the same way? How do you see that business side of music, or do you plan on even seeing that side?
I do, to a certain extent, like in terms of, you know, copyrights and earning my publishing and owning my masters and making sure I have everything in place for splits and credits and all the things that come into putting a song out. I know the business of that, but in terms of making money right now, I'm not. So I'm pretty much investing in myself, and I know that will come in on the back end, because even when I do get paid for a show, I still got to pay musicians. So I'm pretty much always coming out of something, you know, and this is the first time that I'm actively, you know, promoting stuff properly. So that also takes time and effort and expenses. So it's just, it is a business, but I do know, and also I don't have a manager. I don't have anybody funding or backing or even publicist, A&R, none of that. So it's just me. Like, it's literally just me right now.
But even that is like having a business, because I don't have the exact data, but it's like businesses usually aren't profitable for the first 3 to 5 years. Like, you do not get a return on investments.
Yeah.
And when I say return on investments, profit $1.
Yeah,
like
profit.
For 3 to 5
Yeah.
years.
Even streaming, like it's like a penny of a penny almost.
Yeah.
So the only way to really get real money from music is like through brand deals or through through publishing and just different ways to promote your music that way, or even sync placements. So that's ways to get real funding through music. But I don't want to make music to get synced. I would rather, you know, people find my music and they place it on the show rather than me specifically.
Organically.
Yeah, because there are artists and people who like whole camps who just specifically make music for television shows. And that's how they get their money. That's how they make their career. But I've never fully wanted to do that. I would rather just, you like the song? Then you put it on a show or put it on a movie or something like that.
Give me some money. And
you
have it. You got the rights.
Yeah, that's really dope. I've never been like I know the business, but I know that it's gonna be a while, and I'm cool with that.
Okay, so money isn't like a big thing right now.
Nah, it's really not like
really just funding that passion.
Yeah,
that's more of
that's really it. And again, wherever that leads me, I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
I really am.
That's one thing that I always think about is when I had a job, I could invest back into my business, and it's like a cancel out. It's basically an owner's expense, and I could just buy stuff, invest in the business, use it, blah blah blah. That grows, but without that, it's like you have to charge based off of. And this is, I guess, I don't even know how to work with musicians, but you have to charge based off of everything that you own, all the work you're putting into it, the hours, and making a living, like paying your bills and actually paying yourself a salary for savings. And it's like that equation is so long that at the end of the day, that number becomes kind of, I would say, ridiculous. Like for me, I do a lot of music videos and visualize, and I make sure that, you know, I put it at that point to where I'm just breaking even just because I love doing it.
Yeah.
And that's how I have to see it, you know?
Same.
And, you know, it's what it is. And you have to have that money maker, which with, for me, it's corporate videos and content creation. I get brand deals. I get, you know, it's stuff like that. And that's just what funds it. For music, how does that come about?
Oh, man.
Because I literally don't know how music works in terms of getting paid as an artist.
Most artists don't. I'm gonna just like, I'm gonna just be real with you. Most artists don't, especially independent artists.
Yeah.
If you have a label behind you, then you know, even when they give you a deal, record deals are only just loans. So
True.
you're gonna you have to make that money back, or else, you know, you owe the label that. That's another thing people need to be cognizant of, is like if you it just depends on your deal as well. So I would rather have like a publishing deal. Like I would rather have like someone publish the music through a label rather than own the actual music itself.
Right. Can you explain the difference between that? Because I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
for
so
else.
like being on an actual label per se, like they own everything. If you don't own your masters, publishing deal is just through the label to put it on like playlist or put it on just for eyes to be seen, and they just get a cut of that instead of like the majority of your
Gotcha.
artistic integrity.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
I can see how artists could get like taken advantage of easily.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a shiny check.
Yeah, still to this day, there are a lot of artists who just not really sign their life away, but really sign a big portion of their time away. And that's something we can never get back. So I'm very, 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 very specific on just how I do music, how I invest in it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, if I got to invest in myself for now without having, you know, any return on profit, because I've never had a return on profit at any show I've ever done. Yeah. So it's cool though.
Do you plan on charging more, or like how would that come about?
For right now, I don't think I can charge more just because I haven't really done it for so long. But on the flip side, I feel like the type of shows that I put on deserve a little bit more of a compensation. Again, this is where if I had, you know, a team, maybe I could like leverage more. But in terms of like advocating for myself, I feel like I've advocated to like the top of what I can afford, at least at this point, per se, for the venues that I'm performing here in Nashville.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, for the venues I'm performing here in Nashville.
I will say that's something I talk to. A lot of people who are starting out always ask me that question about charging more or charging in general. Like a little bit about my background is when I first started, I was charging $45 for a music video. $45.
Oh, wow.
$45. $45. The main thing I learned throughout all this, which is really just putting a business mindset to what you are doing. And it's not even like business as in make more money. It's like, it's more of marketing. Value, perceived value versus like the actual value you're providing. I believe that everything I create has some type of value to it too. Absolutely. Because I love what I'm doing. I know that it's a good looking visual, and I know that this isn't something that is $100. I know this isn't something that's $200. I believe I deserve more. Absolutely. And usually how I did it at first was I was stair-stepping my way. But during that journey of stair-stepping for years, I was like, okay, if this is actually to become something, I feel like there's this amount that I need to have. And it's just that not even breaking even, but if I had to pay 4 people, which I did at one time, and I would get $100 and left at the end of the day, you know, it's like if I want $300, then I just need to raise it by $200. And that's kind of how I had to start thinking about it. And I was like, okay, people don't care about that. They care about the thing that I'm giving them. Like that's the value I'm adding to their lives. They want me to create something so I can charge for me because that's what they want. If they believe in me truly,
fully,
like I can do that. I can charge that. And that's one thing I always tell people starting out. Like, of course, Yeah, if you've done it for a year, yeah, you need to get your portfolio up. But once that second year, once you get a couple things under your belt and you have a portfolio of things and you know you don't have a shit product, which you don't.
I appreciate it.
100%. You are amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. It's their worth.
Yeah, I
you deserve it.
I fully agree.
But I do get what you're
saying. It's kind of like one of those things where you have to like you're like walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
I understand like I want to get more, but at the same time it's like, okay, now that I've done a plethora of shows, I've opened up for artists. Now I've was blessed to even go on tour with a contemporary Christian group around the country. So I know how things operate at a professional level, and
that's important too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So I definitely know my worth. It's just one of those things where I don't know necessarily if I'm going to get paid my worth at the place that I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you're fighting the whole time.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people just stay at their number in the video world. A lot of people just stay at their number because it's like, I gotta pay my bills.
No, facts. It's really like, okay, you know what? As long
I don't want them to say no.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things for me is like, as long as my musicians are straight, like the people who I play with all the time, as long as they're cool, I'm really cool with just getting paid in exposure, because I know that in the long run, sometimes that's bigger currency than money can ever buy.
Truly.
Because it just takes one person to be like, oh, I see something, I want to invest or mentor or tutor. Like, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, of course it does, but
no, I get it. Yeah.
But also, I'm cool right now with just you know, making ends meet.
I get it. No, I 100% get it. To this day, if I see something in you, I do a lot for free, but I also do,
same.
I cut rates in half. Like I'll do a music video for nothing. I'll do a visualizer for nothing.
Yeah.
As long as I can pay, somebody's that helping me out or whatever the hell it is,
I'll
really don't care.
Yeah. I'll do shows I've done shows for free. Like, I have no problem doing that. And, because I genuinely just love it.
Yeah.
Like, I just love working with other people who care about their work, like just who put time and quality into the work as well. So I don't necessarily, at this present moment, I do care about it, but I don't care about it at the same time, because I'm getting paid more internally than I am monetarily right now.
That gratification.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you for talking with me, Shelldhn. It's been an honor to have you here. Your
so
story
much.
is amazing, and honestly, it inspires the fuck out of me.
Thank you so much.
It's amazing what you've been able to do in just a year. But again, appreciate you.